All right, what is up, guys? So UFC 304 is right around the corner. I got to start digging into this fight card, making a bunch of predictions and videos like always. So I'm looking forward to this one. I know it's not as hyped up as UFC 300, 301. I mean, this card tends to be a little bit, obviously, it's a lot of England representation, but here we are. We're moving forward with my favorite on this card, and that's going to be Paddy the Baddy versus Bobby Green. Now, I know that this fight has a narrative that has been brewing long since Paddy the Baddy arguably beat Jared Gordon and definitely beat Tony Ferguson. In fact, my opinion on Paddy the Baddy is pretty mixed. I know that if you give him any sort of benefit of the doubt on the internet, a lot of people will give you a lot of hate because people love to hate Paddy the Baddy. And I'm not saying Paddy is beyond any sort of criticism, because there are some things that, has happened, like the whole thing with Ariel Helwani, where I understand where a lot of people are kind of like, keeping one foot out the door. So I don't think that he's by any chance perfect as a fighter, and I definitely don't think that he's taking on Benoit Saint Denis anytime. But I feel like right now in this stage in the career, Bobby Green is a very winnable fight, and that really ties into something I'm going to go into. Because if we were to say this was back in the day, right after Paddy Pimblett just beat Jordan Levitt, then what's going to happen is I would say that Bobby Green definitely wins this fight 10 times out of 10. But ever since the whole Jared Gordon thing, followed by the Tony Ferguson fight, I didn't expect Paddy the Baddy to put on that dominant of a performance against Tony Ferguson, despite Tony definitely being way past his heyday. Like, obviously, every Tony Ferguson fan knows Tony is not the same fighter that he used to be, and a lot of fighters are capitalizing on that. Me personally, I really think Tony shouldn't even be fighting in Abu Dhabi, and I say that as a longtime Tony Ferguson fan. After that Michael Chandler fight, I figured it was done. And the fun fact is that first round against Michael Chandler, Tony was doing good, but that's I'll get to that when UFC Abu Dhabi comes around. However, when I saw Paddy kind of just give a little bit more than I expected him to give Tony, no matter where he's at in his career, let's be very honest, I was actually kind of like, okay, Paddy's gotten better. He's taken his time off and stayed active resting, and he's absolutely kind of gotten up a little bit. Now, is he good enough to beat Bobby Green at this point? I don't know. Like I said, I think this is absolutely a toss-up. Bobby could definitely win this, and Paddy could win this now. But if we were to go beginning of his career, definitely Bobby Green wins if he were to fight the Paddy Pimblett, who had 2 fights or something, or 3 fights in the UFC. However, let's move forward as to what's going on right now. Let's say Paddy the Baddy does win this fight. What's going to happen? Now, he's obviously shown interest in actually skipping out of the UFC because there's other opportunities in other fighting commissions, thanks to Jake Paul and the boxing commissions and everything like that. And if you're a fighter, you are doing it for money. You're not looking to realistically do it for the greater good of the fans or anything like that. And even though, obviously fans have been given reasons to criticize Paddy Pimblett, from Paddy's perspective, he's always probably going to be looking for a better deal, just like any other person in those shoes would do. So, do I think that he can beat Bobby Green? I absolutely think he can. Is he going to? Don't know. My prediction is it's a toss-up. I'd have Paddy as a slight underdog, Bobby Green as obviously the slight favorite, but is he going to stick around after the fight if he wins? That's the big question. Is Paddy the Baddy going to continue to punch up the rankings, or is he going to go into other leagues? Now, obviously, a lot of people, especially online, are going to be thinking, well, maybe Paddy the Baddy is going to be looking to, skip out on the rest of the roster. And you know what? That's actually very credible, because let's say for sure Paddy were to stay in the UFC. If he beats Bobby Green now, I think that Bobby Green would probably arguably one of his last big name victories, because he goes up to Matt Frivola, Drew Dober. Who's that one dude that just beat Drew Dober on short notice? I'm going to have to go back and look that up. The guy that just had 2 wins back to back. terrible with this right now. But there's a lot of talent at lightweight. Benoit Saint Denis, who can definitely take out Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I think Paddy might. This might actually be the case. He might be looking at his career and thinking, what else can I realistically do in the UFC? Because honestly, we have seen limitations to his stuff, especially in that Jordan Levitt fight, that first round. Jordan Levitt was doing really good. So obviously Paddy's not invincible. Is he getting better? Yeah. But he's going to be good enough to actually stick around and take on the upper echelons of the lightweight division. I don't know. I don't want to say never, because that's the thing with all these hype trains built on people tuning in to watch them lose. That's when they love proving people wrong so they can continue the show going. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. That's my thoughts. But yeah, is he going to stick around? Is he going to win? A lot of variables in this fight, and I think this fight holds a lot more on the lightweight division than people realize at face value. Like this isn't just a fun fight, because if Paddy wins this, he might be a gigantic what if in the lightweight division that could go out in a lot of controversy, where his lovers are going to be like, nah, dude, he would have kept getting better and he would have actually taken on Benoit Saint Denis, and his haters would have been like, oh, Benoit Saint Denis would have smashed him, and that's why he backed out. So, but those are all my thoughts on Paddy the Baddy versus Bobby Green. And honestly, I will say that's kind of why I'm hoping Bobby Green kind of wins this fight, is because I don't want to see that level of controversy on a what if. I think Paddy would have definitely trolled the UFC if he were to get away, if all of his motives aligned with what I'm thinking right now. But that's all I got to say. Peace out. On to the next one.